Over dinner, I was scrolling through X when a post stopped me cold. I'm pregnant and want my best friend's husband to take responsibility as the dad. What should I do? I nearly choked on my drink, tempted to comment that the poster was delusional, but the replies were even more unhinged. Simple. If you're tight with a couple, suggest a group getaway. Get them tipsy one evening, then accidentally slip into her spouse's room. Problem solved. Later, show him a pregnancy test and nudge him to own up to the baby. I let out a nervous chuckle, my cheeks flushing with unease. I was about to share the post with my best friend for a good laugh when Emma glanced up from her meal. "Hey, Anna, got plans this weekend?" she asked casually. "How about a quick trip?" I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. A trip? I arched an eyebrow. That's random. Isn't a weekend a bit tight for that? Emma and I had been inseparable since our university days. We usually saved trips for long holidays. A last-minute getaway was unlike her, especially with just 2 days to spare. She flashed a carefree smile. "I was just on my phone and saw there's a music festival in Miami this weekend." "Come on, Anna. It's been ages since we let loose. Work's been draining us. Let's have some fun." I hesitated, pushing my salad around my plate. "I'm not sure. I need to think it over," I said after a pause. I promised Mark I'd check with him first. He worries if I don't. At the mention of my husband, Emma's eyes flickered with something I couldn't place. Then she grinned. "No problem, bring Mark along. It'll feel safer with him there." Before I could respond, she whipped out her phone and started browsing a ticketing app. A knot tightened in my chest. A trip. The three of us. The timing felt eerily similar to that post. As Emma scrolled, her face lit with enthusiasm. A wild thought crossed my mind. Could she have written that post? I shook it off. Impossible. We'd been friends for years. I knew her better than that. She wouldn't scheme like that. Taking a deep breath, I pushed the thought aside and told her to grab the tickets. A moment later, Emma excused herself to the restroom. As she stood, a server carrying a tray brushed past her, nearly colliding. Emma's hands instinctively darted to her stomach, as if protecting it. My blood ran cold. Was Emma pregnant? Was she the one behind that post? The second Emma disappeared to the restroom, I yanked my phone out and reopened the post. The original poster had just updated it. Success. She's in. I convinced her to bring her husband, and she didn't suspect a thing. Being so close made it easy. My stomach churned. I scrolled down to find a flurry of new comments. After the poster's update, lurkers in the thread finally chimed in, ripping into her. "You call yourself her friend and you're plotting this? That's low. Meeting someone like you is a nightmare. I hope your friend sees this and cuts you off. Disgusting. Don't drag me into this garbage. I'm so angry I could scream." But the poster didn't back down, firing back at every critic. "You don't know my life. You'd do the same if you were me. It drives me crazy. Why does some nobody from a backwater town get to marry a guy like him? She's not even that pretty, and her background's nothing special. Why does she deserve him? I'm going to wreck her life. If I can't have what I want, she doesn't get her happy ending either. I can't wait to see her crumble when her husband turns on her. It's going to be glorious. She'll be left alone, unwanted." The words hit like ice water. There was no mistaking it. This was Emma. She'd mentioned to herself, "I'd grown up in a small rural town, the only one from my high school to make it to college." That fact had made me feel out of place all through university. I'd been shy, friendless, until Emma reached out. She'd been my rock through those awkward freshman days, through graduation, and into our early careers. I'd trusted her completely. To think she could harbor such resentment, plotting to ruin me, it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. My hands shook as I gripped my phone. Emma stopped replying to the comments. She'd probably be back any second. I slipped my phone into my pocket, steadied my breathing, and smoothed my face into a blank mask. I decided. I wasn't just skipping her weekend plan, I was done with her for good. Emma slid back into her seat, all smiles. "Anna, I got your ticket already," she said brightly. "Just need Mark's email for his e-ticket, and I'll grab his too. Don't worry about the cost. It's my treat for you both coming along." Her smile felt like a dare, sharp and pointed. I swallowed the rage simmering in my chest and kept my voice even. "Emma, you should cancel my ticket. I'm not going." "What?" Her voice spiked, drawing a few glances from nearby tables. She cleared her throat and lowered it. "I mean, what? You're backing out now? That's so sudden." I forced a regretful shrug. Sorry, I thought it over. Work's piling up. I'll probably be stuck at my desk all weekend. Let's plan something proper later, when things calm down. Maybe find someone else to go with you. Her smile vanished, replaced by a flash of annoyance. But we agreed, Anna. I already bought the ticket. You can't just ditch me. That's not fair. And I'm not changing my mind, she added, her tone sharp and childish. You're coming, no excuses. In the past, when Emma pouted or pushed, I'd always caved. She was my best friend after all. But now, knowing what I knew, I felt like a fool for ever bending to her. I gave a tight smile, picked at my food, and kept my eyes on my plate. Emma shifted, uneasy at my silence. She opened her mouth to argue, but I grabbed a napkin, dabbed my mouth, and stood before she could get a word out. Sorry, Emma, it's late. Mark's waiting for me. I'll catch up with you later. I flashed a polite smile. We'll plan something soon. I didn't wait for her reaction. I turned and walked out of the diner, steps quick and firm, without glancing back. When I got home and opened my social media app, a notification pinged. Emma had posted again. I stared at my phone, finger hovering over the screen, as Emma's latest post racked up comments. Emma's latest post was a desperate plea for attention, claiming her plans had fallen apart and begging for advice. Among the swarm of replies, one commenter, the same one who'd offered tips before, stood out. They asked, point blank, if Emma really needed her friend's help this time, or if she could find another way. Emma's response hit like a slap. She wrote that there was no other option. She was set on stealing her friend's husband. She wanted to shatter her friend's happiness. She added that during their lunch, her friend kept mentioning her husband, and it had turned Emma's stomach. She wanted to see her friend cry, to watch her world collapse. My stomach twisted as I read. Any lingering fondness I had for Emma, my so-called best friend, dissolved in that moment. Then the commenter went silent. A moment later, I noticed they'd moved their conversation to private messages. After a quick shower, I checked Emma's post again. Her tone had shifted to smug confidence. It's settled, she wrote. I've got her hooked. I'll have big news for you all after this weekend. Confusion gnawed at me. Had she changed her target? Before I could piece it together, my phone buzzed with a flood of notifications from Mark on my messaging app. I'd been so caught up in Emma's posts that I hadn't noticed. I opened the chat. He'd sent a screenshot of their conversation. Hey, what's up? Why is Emma asking for my email? She said you're down for the Miami Music Festival, is that right? You didn't answer, and she kept pushing, so I gave it to her. A chill ran through me. Emma had bypassed me and messaged Mark directly, and she'd lied. Fury surged in my chest. I was about to call him when I heard the front door creak open. Mark was home. I didn't hold back. Why would you agree to anything she said without talking to me first? I demanded, standing in the living room. He looked taken aback, almost hurt. You've always trusted her, haven't you? He said. Sometimes it feels like you and Emma are closer than we are. You always back her up. She was spamming me and you weren't replying, so I thought it was fine. His words stung, and the truth in them cut deeper. For years, I'd trusted Emma without question. When we went on trips, she'd pick the budget, and I'd send her money without a second thought. At work, if she wanted a project, I'd step aside to avoid conflict. Looking back on all those moments I'd let slide, nausea churned in my gut. Maybe my blind trust had made her think she could get away with anything. I spilled everything to Mark. The post, the venomous things Emma had written, her apparent plan to tear us apart. His expression hardened with every word. Without a pause, he grabbed his phone and blocked Emma right there in front of me. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even have her number, he said, his voice tight with anger. Tell her the festival's off. I'm done with her. And you. His gaze softened but held steady. You've seen her true colors now. Stay away from her. No more contact. I nodded, my determination solidifying. I opened my chat with Emma and sent a curt message. I'm not going. Her reply came instantly, slipping into her usual manipulative charm. Anna, come on, she wrote. I'm desperate here. I can't go alone. I just asked Mark to convince you. It'd be fun with the three of us. I couldn't find anyone else. Please don't be like this. I scoffed, my patience long gone. I blocked her, without another word. The next morning at work, my boss, Rachel Carter, called a team meeting and dropped a casual bombshell. Quick heads up, we've got a team-building retreat this Friday and Saturday. At first, it didn't faze me. Rachel had mentioned a company outing last week, but I hadn't expected it to land on the same weekend. When she described the destination, she grinned. "We're headed to a lakeside resort," she said. "We'll be paired with another department for group activities." She laughed lightly. The company's got no strict rules against office romances, so if you've got a crush in another department, this is your shot to mingle. Then she glanced at me. "Anna, you're in luck. You can bring Mark and enjoy a company-funded getaway." Her words made my stomach lurch. I couldn't help but look at Emma, who was already staring back. For a split second, her eyes gleamed with a smug satisfaction, like she just pulled off a master plan. No way. Had Emma orchestrated pairing Mark's department with mine? After Rachel wrapped up and everyone returned to their desks, I reopened the social media thread I hadn't checked in days. It had exploded with nearly 500 new comments. I scrolled through, my anger spiking with each post. Commenters were tossing out advice. "If they're not willing to go, make it so they have to," one wrote. Another chimed in, "Share more about your situation and I'll help you scheme." Emma had spilled everything. "We work in the same company, same department," she wrote. Her husband's in a different department. "The company's got a team-building event coming up. Could that be my opening?" The thread lit up. "Yes." "Perfect," someone replied. "Team-building events are ideal. Everyone will notice if you hook up. How could he dodge responsibility then?" "But team-building is so chaotic," Emma fretted. "There'll be tons of people and departments. I might not even get near him." "Don't be silly," another commenter snapped. "These events are planned by someone. Find out who's organizing the groups and get cozy with them. See if you can swing being in his group." At company retreats, departments are randomly paired for team versus team games to break the ice. I kept scrolling until I hit Emma's updates. "Thanks, everyone," she wrote. "I found the HR person in charge of the event and brought her a latte. I mentioned I like someone in that department and asked if she could pair us. She agreed." A moment later, she added, "It's happening. Just got confirmation. I'm in the same group as her husband's department. Stay tuned for updates." Across the office, Emma was humming a chipper tune, oblivious to the rage building inside me. A cold resolve settled over me. I stood and walked to Rachel's office. "Rachel," I said, keeping my voice calm, "can I sit out the team-building retreat?" Rachel rejected my request without blinking. She even sent a company-wide email emphasizing that attendance was mandatory unless you had a legitimate excuse. With no way out, I grudgingly agreed to go. On Friday morning, we left for the retreat. Upon arriving at the lakeside resort, everyone checked into their rooms. Mark and I were assigned to the same one. After dropping off our bags, I stepped into the hallway and nearly bumped into Emma. She was lingering outside my door, staring at the room number. When she saw me, she quickly averted her gaze, then put on a bright smile and grabbed my arm. "Anna, are you still upset with me?" she asked, her voice teasingly pouty. "I messed up, all right? Can we move past it?" Since I'd blocked her, Emma had been hovering around me at work, constantly trying to patch things up. The moment we stepped off the bus today, she'd rushed over, apologizing nonstop. If I didn't ease up, I worried she'd start suspecting I was onto her. So I turned away, feigning lingering frustration. "So, you're finally admitting you were wrong?" I said coolly. Seeing my expression soften, Emma pounced on the opportunity. "I swear I didn't mean any harm," she said earnestly. "I just really wanted us to go together." "I won't push you anymore," she added quickly, her tone conciliatory. "If you're not up for it, that's okay." I let out a heavy sigh, pretending to relent with reluctance. "Fine, but don't let it happen again." Emma's face lit up, and she nodded enthusiastically. Then came her real motive. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a soft, almost vulnerable whisper. "Since we're good now, Anna, could we share a room tonight? You know I've always hated sleeping alone, and you've barely spoken to me lately. Just keep me company, okay?" Her hand rested lightly on my arm, her touch gentle but calculated. But my thoughts were elsewhere, replaying the social media post I'd seen earlier. While in the room, I checked the app and found Emma's latest update. "Just got to the retreat. What's my next move? Any tips?" Some shady commenter had replied. "Is your friend sharing a room with her husband? If so, make up a reason to bunk with her instead. That'll split them up. Get everyone tipsy tonight, and when no one's looking, slip into her husband's room. That should seal the deal. Then it's all up to you." Emma had eagerly liked the comment and even offered a digital reward if the plan succeeded. Sure enough, minutes later, she showed up at my door, first disarming me with apologies, then diving straight into her plot. Meeting her pleading eyes, a sharp idea struck me. If Emma was ready to toss our friendship aside and ruin my life, I'd make her regret it. I kept my face neutral, though inside I was grinning. I placed my hand over hers and gave it a gentle pat. "Okay," I said softly. "We can share a room tonight." "Really?" Emma's eyes sparkled with surprise. She hadn't expected me to agree so easily. She babbled excitedly as we headed downstairs to the hotel's outdoor lounge, where everyone was gathered for a cookout. My gaze swept the crowd and landed on a slimy, overweight guy in the corner, Bobby Klein. Bobby was a co-worker for my department. Middle-aged, disheveled, and known for making inappropriate comments to younger women, he'd creeped Emma out before. She'd once vented to me over lunch that his staring made her skin crawl. To me, Bobby was bad news. Just an hour earlier, he'd approached me about switching rooms. "Anna, you and Mark are in the same room, right? Any chance you'd trade with me?" I'd frowned.
"Why?
"Something wrong with yours?"
Can't you ask the front desk?"
He'd scratched his unkempt hair, looking sheepish. "Nah, it's too spacious. I like cozier rooms, but the front desk says they're full. No one else will swap. But you and Mark? That big room's perfect for you too, isn't it?" At the time, we'd brushed him off.
But now?
Things were different. Let the creeps deal with each other, I thought. I wanted to see Emma's reaction when she woke up in Bobby's room. So I strolled over to Bobby, flashing a warm smile. "Hey, Bobby, still want to swap rooms?" I talked to Mark, and we're okay with it. Bobby's face broke into a wide, toothy grin, his eyes gleaming like he'd hit the jackpot. "For real, Anna? No catch." I nodded, keeping my smile casual, as if it were just a friendly favor. "Yeah, no problem. Mark said the big room feels too empty anyway." A complete fabrication, but Bobby didn't need to know. He was already digging for his keycard, practically bouncing with excitement. Emma, still clinging to my arm, gave him a quick side-eye, her lips twitching with faint disgust. She didn't say anything, but I caught the same revulsion she'd expressed last month over coffee. "Ugh, Bobby's so gross," she complained. "He stares at me like I'm a piece of meat. If he wasn't in our department, I'd report him." Now, though, she was too focused on her scheme to care. I could almost see her plotting. Get Anna away from Mark. Isolate him. Make her move. The thought made my blood boil, but I buried it. This was her game, and I was about to turn it upside down. We sealed the room swap right there under the fairy lights strung across the lounge area. Bobby handed over his keycard with a smirk that made my skin crawl, and I gave him ours in return. "Room 312 for you," I said cheerfully. "Enjoy the upgrade." Emma squeezed my arm a bit tighter, her voice dropping to that syrupy tone she used to get her way. "Anna, you're amazing. I owe you big time. Maybe a mani-pedi next weekend, my treat?" I just nodded vaguely, my eyes drifting to the grills where flames danced over sizzling burgers. The air smelled of charred onions and cheap wine, with laughter rising from groups of coworkers already tipsy. Mark was by the drink station, chatting with some guys from his team, his easy grin lighting up his face. He caught my gaze and waved, and for a moment, my heart squeezed. I loved him so much. And Emma wanted to destroy that. The night blurred into forced small talk and clinking glasses. Emma stayed glued to my side, rambling about the music festival she'd almost convinced us to attend, her hand rarely far from a plastic cup of rose. I played along, sticking to soda to keep my head clear, watching her work the room. She was a pro, flirty giggles with one group, fake concern with another, building her cover. By sunset, half the retreat was tipsy, stumbling through team games that turned into drunken confessions and silly challenges. "Truth or dare, Emma?" A giggling intern shouted from the fire pit, waving her phone like a game show host. Emma tossed her hair with a laugh. "Dare, duh." The crowd cheered, and she shot me a sly look, like we were still besties sharing a secret. The intern smirked. "I dare you to chug a cider, blindfolded." Child's play. Emma downed it without a hitch, earning hoots and applause. She wiped her lips, eyes sparkling with triumph, and leaned into me.
"See?
I'm good. This is a blast, right?" I forced a chuckle.
Sure.
A riot. But my mind was already 3 steps ahead. The commenter's advice replayed in my head. Get everyone tipsy. Slip in unnoticed. Emma was halfway there, her cheeks rosy from the wine. All I had to do was guide her back to the room later. Maybe suggest we turn in early for some girl time. Mark wandered over then, sliding an arm around my waist. His warmth steadied me, and I leaned into him for a moment. "Having fun," he murmured, his voice low and warm. More than I expected, I whispered back, glancing at Emma. She was watching us, her smile a little too stiff, her fingers tapping her empty cup. Envy?
Perfect.
Let it simmer. As the night dragged on, the crowd thinned, some splashing in the hot tub, others calling it quits. Around 11:30 p.m., Emma let out an exaggerated yawn, tugging my sleeve. Anna, I'm wiped. Walk me to the room? This hotel's like a labyrinth. I glanced at Mark, who was deep in a debate about basketball stats with his team. He gave me a subtle nod. Go on, I'm fine. Sure, I told Emma, linking arms with her like old times. Let's go. We navigated the quiet hallways, the carpet softening our steps. Emma was wobbly, her chatter veering into complaints about office gossip. At the door to our new room, she hugged me tightly, her perfume sharp and sugary. Thanks for forgiving me, Anna. You're the best friend ever. I patted her back, keeping my tone light. Night, Emma. Sweet dreams. As she fumbled with the key card and slipped inside, I lingered just long enough to hear the door click shut. Then I pulled out my phone, pulse racing, and shot a quick text to Bobby. Hey, heads up, Emma might stop by later.
She's had a few.
Don't be a creep. Bobby's reply came back almost instantly. No worries, Anna. I'll keep it classy. Thanks for the swap.
Classy. Sure.
I slipped my phone into my pocket and rejoined Mark at the outdoor lounge, where he was waiting with 2 chilled lemonades. All good? He asked, pulling me onto his lap by the fire pit. Yeah, I lied, nestling into him. Everything's fine. But as the flames flickered and the stars glittered above, all I could think about was what Emma would discover in that room come morning, and the expression on her face when her plan unraveled. Sleep barely came that night. Mark dozed peacefully beside me in the small room Bobby had traded us into, 2 narrow beds pushed together, the faint smell of damp towels lingering, but my mind was a storm. Every creak in the hallway jolted me upright, ears straining. Was that Emma's door? Had she snuck out, keycard in hand, heading for the room she thought was Mark's? By 2:30 a.m., paranoia got the better of me. I grabbed my phone and slipped into the bathroom, locking the door. The retreat's Wi-Fi was shaky, but I managed to load the social media thread. Emma's latest update was from an hour ago. Nerves are eating me alive. Got her to bunk with me done. Now I just need to time the switch. Send me luck, guys. This baby's getting a dad by sunrise. The replies were a mix of encouragement and caution. Don't back out now. And if this blows up, you're screwed. One user, the same sketchy advisor from earlier, had messaged her publicly. Tip: wear something sexy. Guys are visual. Knock on his door. Act confused if he answers. Oops, wrong room. Mind if I crash? Anna's snoring like a buzzsaw. Boom. You're in. I scrolled back, my stomach churning. Emma had shared a screenshot of the message, replying with a winking emoji and a mirror selfie in a skimpy satin camisole. Outfit good? The thread's sharks had pounced, hyping her up. Disgust surged through me. This wasn't just betrayal, it was deliberate, cruel. Emma wasn't some heartbroken romantic. She was a schemer, cloaking her jealousy in justifications. Small-town nobody. Not deserving. As if my life with Mark was something she'd earned and I'd swiped. I uninstalled the app, at least for now, and splashed cold water on my face. In the mirror, my eyes were dark, my skin ghostly. I looked drained, but I wasn't helpless. I was ready to strike back. By morning, the retreat was waking up, runners jogging the trails, the distant clatter of breakfast dishes. Mark stirred as I slid back into bed, muttering about needing coffee. Go back to sleep, I whispered, brushing a kiss across his forehead. I'm taking an early walk. He mumbled agreement, already fading back to sleep. I dressed quickly and headed out, keycard in hand, toward room 312. The hallway was still, the kind of quiet that amplified every step. My pulse pounded as I neared the door. What if Bobby had turned her away? What if she'd figured out the swap and circled back to Mark's room? The doubts gnawed, but I swiped the keycard anyway. The door clicked open, and there, tangled in the sheets of the oversized bed, was Emma. Her satin camisole was bunched around her thighs, one strap slipping off her shoulder. Bobby was sprawled next to her, snoring loudly, his arm draped over her like he owned her. Empty beer cans littered the nightstand, and the air stank of stale hops and bad decisions. Emma stirred at the light, her eyes blinking open. For a moment, she looked puzzled, then pure panic set in. She sat up fast, clutching the sheet to her chest, her gaze darting from me to Bobby and back. Anna? What? How are you? Morning, Emma, I said, my voice as cool as the hum of the room's air conditioner. I leaned against the doorframe, arms folded, savoring the moment. Bobby mumbled something incoherent and rolled over, clueless. Emma's face went pale. She fumbled for her phone on the nightstand, her hands trembling so much she nearly knocked it off. It's a mistake. I thought. Mark, I must have mixed up the rooms. Anna, you have to believe me. Believe you? I stepped inside, letting the door close with a heavy thud. Like you believe those creeps online? The ones telling you to get me drunk, split us up, and trick my husband with a fake pregnancy. Her eyes widened, her cheeks flushing red. You saw the post? It was just me blowing off steam. I was tipsy mad. I'd never actually. Spare me. I pulled out my phone, opening the screenshots I'd saved last night. I held it up, the thread glowing in the dim light. Her updates, the messages, the selfie in that same camisole she wore now. You posted this at midnight. Nerves are eating me alive. And this at 1:47 a.m. Ready for action. Funny how blowing off steam comes with timestamps and location tags. Emma's mouth opened and shut, like a fish gasping for air, as she clutched the sheet tighter. Bobby groaned awake then, squinting at us. Huh? Anna? Oh, hey, Emma. Crazy night, huh? He grinned, scratching his gut, and the truth hit her like a punch. She gagged, shoving his arm away and scrambling to the bed's edge. Get off me. You creep. What did you do? Bobby's grin faded.
Whoa, chill.
You showed up at my door, said something about a room mix-up with your man. We had some drinks, chatted, stuff happened. You seemed into it. Liar. Emma shrieked, tears streaming down her face as she grabbed her clothes from the floor. Anna, tell him. This isn't what it looks like. I was looking for Mark. I watched her spiral, a quiet satisfaction spreading through me. This was the Emma who'd sneered at my rural roots, who'd schemed to destroy my marriage out of spite. Let her squirm. Oh, it's exactly what it looks like, I said softly. You came hunting for my husband, but you got Bobby instead. Poetic, isn't it? Bobby, picking up on the tension, sat up straighter, his confusion turning cautious. Wait, you thought this was Mark's room? Damn, Emma, that's twisted. She turned on him, mascara running down her cheeks. Shut up. This is all your fault. You took advantage of me. As their shouting match grew louder, I slipped out, closing the door on her tears. My hands were steady now, the knot in my stomach finally easing. Downstairs, the breakfast buffet was buzzing, coworkers piling plates with pancakes and fruit. Mark was there, pouring coffee, and the sight of him, calm, unaware, made my throat tighten. I slid into the seat across from him. Rough night, he asked, sliding a mug my way. You have no idea, I murmured, but I managed to smile. For the first time in days, it felt genuine. By midday, gossip was spreading through the retreat like wildfire. Emma had bolted from the hotel in a taxi, her eyes puffy and makeup smeared. Bobby was nursing a hangover and a dented pride, grumbling about mixed signals. And me? I was done being anyone's fool. But as Mark and I packed to head home, my phone pinged with a new social media notification. Not from Emma, from an anonymous account replying to her now-deleted thread. Update. The plan crashed and burned. Woke up with the wrong guy. My best friend set me up. She's pregnant now. Turns out the swap was her revenge. I'm done.
Wait.
Pregnant? My blood turned to ice. That wasn't Emma's post. And as I stared at the screen, a new message popped into my DMs, from a blank account with no profile picture. Think you're in the clear?
Check the timeline.
She wasn't the only one scheming. The drive home was silent, Mark's hand warm on my knee as he hummed to the car radio. Sunlight streamed through the windshield, casting golden streaks across the dashboard, but my mind was a whirlwind. That anonymous message chewed at me, the words looping endlessly. She wasn't the only one scheming. What did that mean? Emma's plan had collapsed. Her reputation at work was ruined after Bobby's loud breakfast recap, but this felt bigger, darker. By the time we pulled into our driveway, I'd half convinced myself it was just some internet trolls stirring drama. Emma's thread had gone viral in our little online bubble. Of course, people would pile on. I deleted the app for good this time, promising myself to focus on Mark, on the life we'd built, cracks and all. But Monday morning shattered that fragile calm. I got to the office early, ready to lose myself in reports and forget the weekend. The elevator opened, and I stepped out into a sea of stares. Coworkers clustered by the water cooler, their whispers fading as I passed. Rachel was at her desk, her face serious, scrolling through something on her computer. And Emma? Her desk was empty, a lone cactus the only trace she'd ever been there. "Anna," Rachel called, gesturing me over. Her voice was low, cautious, like she was handling something fragile. "We need to talk. In my office."
Now.
My stomach dropped. "What's this about?" Rachel didn't respond, just pointed toward the glass-walled meeting room. Inside, HR Sandra was waiting, holding a tablet and a stack of papers that looked like screenshots. A lot of them. "Take a seat," Rachel said, motioning to a chair. I sat, my pulse pounding in my ears. Sandra slid the papers across the desk. The top one was a screenshot of Emma's social media thread, the full, ugly mess. But beneath it?
More.
Older posts buried deep. Comments about poaching clients, setting up a colleague for fall, and one that made my heart stop. A grainy photo of me and Mark at a restaurant, captioned, "She thinks she's got it all. Wait till he hears about her side hustle." "What is this?" I whispered, flipping through the stack. My hands trembled. Rachel leaned forward, elbows on her knees. "Emma's been busy online."
More than we realized.
HR got an anonymous tip this morning. Someone sent a whole file of this stuff to the company email. It's not just her scheming against you, it's policy violations. Leaking project details, trash-talking clients. And this, she tapped the photo. "She's been watching you, Anna. For months." Watching. The words sank like a stone. I thought of the coincidental run-ins at events, how Emma always seemed to know Mark's schedule before I did. The trip pitch. The pregnancy plot. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment betrayal, it was a calculated campaign. Sandra cleared her throat. "We've suspended her pending a full review. But, Anna, there's more." She turned her tablet toward me. An email chain, forwarded from Emma's work account. Subject, team building groupings. The message read, "Hey, can we adjust the teams? Put me with Mark's department, personal reasons. And, if you can, keep Anna separate. She's a lot to handle." My vision swam. Emma hadn't just sweet-talked HR for the team swap. She'd painted me as a burden. A lot to handle. Like I was some needy sidekick in her twisted story. "Why me?" I asked, my voice breaking. "What did I do to her?" Rachel sighed, rubbing her forehead. "Envy, probably. From what we've gathered, it started small after your promotion last spring. She felt left behind. But this is obsessive." Obsessive. The word lingered as they outlined the next steps. A counseling referral, a security escort if I wanted one, a formal statement for HR's records. I nodded numbly, signing where they indicated. By the time I left the office, the whispers had turned to blatant stares, a mix of sympathy and morbid fascination. I texted Mark from the parking lot. "Can you come home early? I need you." His reply was immediate. "Heading out now. Love you." But as I drove, my phone pinged again. Another anonymous DM, this time with a video attachment. I pulled over, my heart racing, and pressed play. It was Emma, weeks ago, in what looked like a dimly lit bar. She was laughing into her phone, her voice sharp but clear. "Yeah, it's perfect. She's so naive, thinks we're besties. Once I snag Mark, she'll be out in the cold. And the baby? My backup plan. He won't ditch a pregnant woman, right?" The video ended on her smirk. Below it, the message. "She's not done. Check your husband's email. The real trap's just beginning." I forwarded it to Rachel without hesitation, my fingers moving on autopilot. Then I sped to Mark's office, bursting through the door like a woman on a mission. He looked up from his desk, concern flashing across his face. "Anna, what's wrong?" "Look at this," I said, breathless, shoving my phone at him. He watched the video, his jaw clenching tighter with every word. When it finished, he pulled me onto his lap, his arms wrapping around me like a shield. "She's unhinged. We'll get a restraining order. Police if we have to." But even as he spoke, my phone lit up again. An email notification from Mark's work account, sent just minutes ago. Sender, anonymous. Subject, your wife's secret. Attached, a photo of a pregnancy test. Positive. My breath hitched. I wasn't pregnant. I'd been meticulous with my birth control. But the timestamp, last week. The night Emma had accidentally slipped something into my drink at that work happy hour. Mark's face paled as he opened it. Anna, what is this? I stared at the screen, the two pink lines blurring through sudden tears. Not mine. But if Emma had faked this, planted it somehow, timed it to drop now. A DM followed seconds later. Surprise. She's the one trapping you. Get out while you can. And just like that, the trap tightened. Emma wasn't just after my husband. She was framing me to ruin everything. The rest of the day was a blur of chaos. Mark called in sick for both of us, bundling me into the car and driving to the police station before I could argue. We're not playing her game, he said, his voice calm but his grip tight on the steering wheel. Evidence first. Then we shut this down. At the station, Detective Lopez, a sharp woman with a short haircut and piercing eyes, took our statements. She watched the video twice, her face unreadable, then pulled up Emma's social media profile on her tablet. It was gone. Suspended. Clever, she muttered. But not clever enough. We'll subpoena the platform for backups. As for the email and the pregnancy test, she bagged my phone as evidence and promised forensics would trace the sender's IP. Could be a fake image or a setup, she said. We see this with obsessive ex-friends going full scorched earth. Stay put. We'll bring her in for questioning by tonight. Mark held my hand tightly, his thumb brushing soothing circles on my skin. It grounded me, keeping the panic at bay. But inside, I was spiraling. How long had Emma been orchestrating this? This side hustle in her old post. Had she hacked my accounts? Spread lies at work? And that pregnancy test. God, if she'd tampered with my birth control. Or worse. We got home as the sun dipped below the horizon, the house feeling too quiet, too vast. Mark ordered takeout. Burgers for comfort, he said, and we ate on the couch, a random comedy show droning in the background. Talk to me, he said softly when I fell silent again. What's going on in there? I set down my burger, the bun crumbling in my hands. I trusted her, Mark. 5 years. She knew everything, our arguments, our plans. And she twisted it into this. Tears stung my eyes, spilling over. What if she comes for you next? What if this destroys us? He pulled me close, his chin resting on my head. She won't. We're stronger than her lies. And that test, it's fake. I know you, Anna. We'd know if... His voice faltered, and I pulled back, studying his face. There was something there, uncertainty, guilt. Mark, he sighed, dragging a hand through his hair. The email came from my company server. Internal. Whoever sent it had access, someone in my department. My blood ran cold. Emma doesn't work in your department. No, he said slowly. But she knows people who do. Remember Greg from finance? The one she was all over at the Christmas party.
Greg.
The creepy guy who'd accidentally sent me Mark's calendar last month. I'd brushed it off as a mistake. Now, before I could respond, Mark's phone buzzed. A work notification. He glanced at it and froze. Damn it. What? It's from HR. Company-wide email. Urgent. Review attached personnel file re. Anna, last name. Allegations of misconduct. I grabbed the phone. Attached was a PDF my employee file doctored. Fake emails from me slamming clients, dated to match projects I'd spearheaded. And at the bottom, a note from Anonymous. She's been playing everyone. Check the dates. She got pregnant right after that team-building fiasco. Coincidence. The room tilted. This wasn't just revenge anymore. Emma was torching my career, my marriage, everything, to leave me in ruins. Mark's jaw tightened. We're going back to the police.
Now.
But as we grabbed our keys, a sharp knock rattled the front door. Mark checked the peephole and cursed under his breath. It's her, Emma. My heart pounded. She was here? After everything? Let me deal with it, Mark said, but I shook my head.
No.
This ends now. I flung open the door, keeping the chain locked. Emma stood there, a mess, hair tangled, eyes swollen, a backpack slung over her shoulder. But her gaze was hard, unyielding. Anna, she croaked, her voice hoarse from crying. You win. I lost it all. My job, my friends, Bobby's disgusting texts. But before you gloat, it's not over. She held up her phone, the screen glowing with a pregnancy test app, positive, dated today. Turns out, Bobby's aim was good. But guess what? I've got proof. That room swap? You set it up. If I go down, you're coming with me for entrapment or whatever they call rigging a friend to get spiked. Spiked? The word hit like a punch. You. She laughed, sharp and hollow. Oh, and the emails? The file? Not my doing. Someone bigger's pulling the strings. Ask your perfect Mark about his fling from that Miami trip last year. The one who could be my twin. The door slammed as she walked away, but her words lingered like poison. I turned to Mark, the pieces colliding in my mind. The anonymous DMs. The perfect timing. If Emma was telling the truth, who is she? I demanded, my voice cracking. Mark, tell me now or we're done. His face collapsed, the truth spilling out. Anna, I swear it was one night. Before we were official. She claimed she was pregnant. Tried to blackmail me into staying quiet. But the baby. A car door slammed outside. Sirens wailed in the distance. Police, responding to our earlier report. But as blue lights flickered across the windows, Mark's phone pinged one last time. A text from an unknown number. Time's running out. The real trap's on you now. Congrats on the family. Attached, a photo. Not of Emma. Of me, smiling, unaware, at a clinic. And overlaid on my stomach? A sonogram.
Fake.
It had to be fake. But in that moment, staring at the image, doubt split open like a chasm. Who was playing who? And how far did this betrayal go? To be continued.